This video is in response to Actual Justice Warrior's first video about Ahmaud Arbery. While there are two videos covering the case, I will be doing a later second video in response to his later video. With my main consideration being with how long it's been between his initial video covering the issue, and that the case has changed slightly. So to be clear, that any and or all information I will use in response to Sean was available during and or before May 9th, the time when he released his first video. Firstly, we can divide Sean's video into 5 sections. The first 5 minutes is Sean complaining that the media is covering the story or just complaining about the media in general. The second portion is him refuting misinformation about the travel distance of Ahmaud's home. The third section covers Ahmaud seemingly being caught under surveillance footage and the McMichael's motive for pursuing Ahmaud. The fourth section covers the legal questions surrounding the issue, and the last section is about Sean's personal thoughts about the incident. I would like to preface my video by saying that in the second section, I'm glad that Sean does get out of the way with the misinformation surrounding Ahmaud's travel distance. However, this doesn't get rid of all the holes in his video. The first problem I have is in the fourth section, Sean brings up Georgia's citizens arrest statute. Sean says,
"Don't flee and you take someone's life, that you don't even have to go to trial." So while the Georgia citizens arrest statute says you are protected in your actions when you initiate a citizen's arrest when you personally witness a felony being committed, that doesn't mean that you can only initiate a citizen's arrest when you witness a felony being committed. This law is not a limitation on the citizen's arrest power of the people of Georgia. This law is a special protection in specific instances where Georgia does not want its citizens to not intervene out of fear of civil or criminal liability.
And he uses this to further the idea that common law could be used in a situation that doesn't cover a scenario where you're not witnessing a crime take place.
Liability. Just think about it logically for a second. Let's say you're going for a walk and all of a sudden you hear a woman, but you can't see her, say "stop thief," and then a minute later or 30 seconds later, a guy runs past you with a purse in his hand. Do you think that because you didn't literally witness the crime occur, and purse snatching probably not even a felony, that you have no authority to stop that person? That's ridiculous. Of course you have the authority to stop that person because there is reasonable suspicion that that is related to the screaming that you just heard and that a crime occurred. You just don't have the same high standard of legal protection if you stopping this person doesn't work out as you would have had you seen the crime actually occur. Because while it might seem logical to put 2 and 2 together, stop thief, guy running with purse, you haven't actually seen the crime occur, and what you're piecing together could in fact be circumstantial and not indicative of an actual crime. That's why the strongest protections are reserved for the most serious crimes that are personally witnessed. But again, that doesn't mean it limits the other citizens' arrest powers that are established through common law and other pieces of legislation. Now, the reason whether or not this falls under the citizens arrest common law is the most important issue in this case is because, contrary to what you might think, the most important charges in this case aren't the murder charge.
However, if we reverse back to when he had the statue up, you can clearly see that it doesn't say witness. The statute says, a private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. Nowhere in the statute does it suggest that there's a requirement for actually seeing the crime take place. I presume that Sean made the mistake and assumed the word immediate knowledge meant witnessed. However, sight isn't a requirement with immediate knowledge. As Renee v. State itself, the term within his immediate knowledge enables a private citizen to use any of his senses to obtain knowledge that an offense is being committed. A private citizen is not required to actually be present when a misdemeanor offense occurs. Therefore, the idea that Georgia's citizens arrest law only applies to situations where the citizen had personally witnessed a crime is wrong, as they can use any of their senses to find out if a crime had been committed. The second issue is him explaining the charges of aggravated assault and felony murder.
In that felony gets charged with their murder. So the whole issue is on whether or not him brandishing the shotgun outside of his car was in fact a felony assault. If that wasn't a felony assault, then there's no murder charge. That goes away. Remember, assaults aren't violence. Battery is violence. Assault is the threat of violence. If neither the father nor the son brandishing their guns constitutes as a felony assault, then the murder charge disappears, because then it becomes legally brandishing your firearms and a self-defense case. So this is the entire issue, whether or not common law around citizen's arrest is enough to protect the son in his actions and the father when they decided to stop this guy. Now, even if this isn't...
The issue, however, isn't just about brandishing a shotgun. According to the warrant for both Gregory and Travis McMichael, Travis McMichael was charged for aggravated assault for that the accused pointed and discharged a shotgun, which is a deadly weapon capable of causing death or serious bodily injury at Ahmaud Arbery. Now, the discharge is obvious, but the pointing of the firearm could be two things. First, the discharge of the weapon had to be pointed at Ahmaud at some point. Or, if we take a look at the video,
maybe he saw the sniper.
Or was working with it.
Wait. Go back one.
What do you say?
Full screen.
Vector in on that guy by the back wheel.
I enhanced the detail and...
it's clear he wasn't just brandishing the firearm, he actually pointed the shotgun in a firing position at Ahmaud. So whether pointing a firearm at a person is assault, then according to Dunnigan v. State, aggravated assault can occur when a person commits an act which places another person in reasonable apprehension of immediately receiving violent injury. And to know when it comes to intent, there is an intent of the accused that must be shown, but it's only the criminal intent to commit the act, which has caused the victim to be reasonably apprehensive of receiving a violent injury. Not any underlying intent of the accused in assaulting the victim. It would be reasonable to presume that the act of pointing a firearm at Ahmaud would cause reasonable apprehension. It's clear, however, that Sean doesn't understand what the charges against the McMichaels are, as he mentions that Gregory also was brandishing the firearm.
And whether or not you're a believer in felony murder or not, it seems a little weird that he would also get the same sentence as the son, when he was acting, even as he was brandishing a gun, far more reasonable than his son. Now, I hope that clears up some of the legal questions related.
However, if he was doing this, wouldn't it be weird that he also hadn't received an aggravated assault charge for brandishing his firearm? The charges for the Gregory McMichael are instead about him being partying to the crime by aiding and abetting the actions of Travis McMichael. Otherwise, with regards to this video, there weren't really that many other issues. This should wrap it up. Bullshit. God? Is that you? Don't you remember Sean bringing up common law? If you think he easily messed up reading George's basic statute regarding citizen's arrest, why don't you think he also messed up reading common law? You're right, I didn't cover it. But that's because he mentions it secondhand. He doesn't actually say what Georgia's common laws are. And you can't get them wrong if he doesn't say what they are. Isn't it not unusual that he doesn't mention what Georgia's common laws are surrounding the issue? Especially when he says
other citizens' arrest powers that are established through common law and other pieces of legislation. Now, the reason whether or not this falls under the citizens' arrest common law is the most important issue in this case.
While Sean doesn't say what Georgia's citizens' arrest common laws are about, he does bring up two references to common law. Firstly, he brings up this picture. This is from a Vice article called "The Obscure Law Protecting the Two White Men Who Killed Ahmaud Arbery." Reading the article, it only mentions citizens' arrest law and common law in a historical sense. It doesn't make reference to anything concerning Georgia's common law interpretation of citizens' arrest. It only brings up the dangers of citizens performing an arrest, as citizens typically don't understand how to perform an arrest in their jurisdiction. Otherwise, This article has no application to this court case. The second image is a linked legal journal from the referenced Vice post. However, it's unusual that Sean's image that he decides to use is just the first paragraph, and that it talks about neither Georgia's common law or common law about citizens' arrest. It, however, talks about the dangers of giving citizens the power to arrest. Reading the legal journal, it divides itself into 4 sections. 1. Analyzing the right conferred under citizens' arrest. 2. Citizens beware the misapplication of citizens' arrest. 3. Good application of citizens' arrest. And 4. Model statute for citizens' arrest. We're here only for section 1, as it talks about citizens' arrest in regards to common law, with its 3 subsections: origins, common law states, and states' codification of the common law. In the first section, it explains the development of citizens' arrest common law, as it is typically requiring either the person performing an arrest to have either personally witnessed or observed the crime. But near the end, it is historically summarized in the end of the section. Therefore, the historical common law doctrine of citizens' arrest can be summarized succinctly. A private citizen may arrest another for a crime committed in his presence, or her, but he can be held liable for false imprisonment if no crime was in fact committed. The second subsection, common law states, says that about a handful of states have failed to codify their citizens' arrest, and therefore are still bound by common law interpretations that are unique to each of their representative states. The states that use common law are Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. It can be seen that Georgia isn't one of these states, therefore bringing up common law is effectively pointless, as they've already codified their common law interpretation of citizens' arrest into their statutes. The highlight of Sean's video isn't the misinformation, but the lack of discussion of case precedent, as that would actually allow a person to create a strong prediction of events that could predict where the case might go. For example, bringing up the case precedent in Georgia, the Georgia Supreme Court case State v. DeLegal would be used to look at making a citizen's arrest for a misdemeanor believed to happen 2 days ago. In this case, 2 individuals named Hopkins and Townsend were sworn in by the mayor to arrest a citizen, John DeLegal, that they had believed had participated in a riot. When they approached DeLegal to make the arrest turned violent, leading to one of the individuals, Townsend, being killed. The issues at hand of the case were, firstly, the mayor who appointed the citizens had no power to do so. Therefore, the citizens were acting as private individuals. Secondly, neither the individuals, Townsend or Hopkins, had either immediate knowledge nor had the crime been committed in their immediate presence. An important factor that came out of the case was that where an offense is committed in his presence, he must arrest the offender then and there. If he fails to do so immediately, his power to do so at all is gone. He has no power to arrest in order to prevent a failure of justice for the want of an officer to issue a warrant. This power is given to public officers only, and not to private individuals. An officer may arrest when the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge, or if there is likely to be a failure of justice for the want of a proper officer to issue a warrant. Applying this precedent to the case, and since we know that McMichaels did not base their reasoning on crimes happening on the immediate, rather on things they witnessed in the past, they then would be performing a faulty citizen's arrest. This is obviously important to the self-defense case, as it makes the McMichaels look like the initial aggressors to the case, and the self-defense effectively goes out the window.
Now, I hope that clears up some of the legal questions related to this case, and now I'm going to move on.
It doesn't help or answer anything. If anything, his video does the reverse. He got the citizen's arrest statute wrong. Secondly, he doesn't know what or why the McMichaels were charged for. He brings up common law for some reason, but he doesn't explain what that means in reference to Georgia. He just brings it up. Lastly, he fails to look up any case precedent, as this would actually give clues to how the statutes are interpreted or how this might affect the court case. I hardly call this video the truth about Ahmaud Arbery, as it fails to examine anything about either Ahmaud or the case or the events leading up to the incident, like a timeline would be good. Good job on dodging the misinformation about the distance of his house to their neighborhood, but then completely dropping the ball when it comes to literally anything else about this case. Hey, if I missed anything, comment down below. I'm fine with your thoughts also, and it would be nice if you could give me a like and a subscribe, as I hope to make more content like this in the future. Oh, and as always, links to all my sources are down below.